there's a reason why I picked Paul to win this fight, and I picked him by knockout. So I picked the right guy, but I had it going to, obviously the end result, not by knockout. So I was wrong, even though I was right with the winner. But the reason why I picked him, and I picked Paul, the less experienced, obviously, the guy who's not the professional fighter in this case, the reason I picked him is partly because Woodley has been you're attached to your mental frame. You could have a Ferrari race car, and it has all the horsepower in the world. It's got all the RPMs in the world. But if your temperament is, kind of to be driving Miss Daisy, right? I mean, if you've been, say, in an accident and you're cautious about going fast now, it doesn't matter how much horsepower is underneath that hood. It don't matter. People look at the car, and you made a great point of looking at his physique and the way he looks and the way his, you figure his cardio was and all those things that you assume are attached to that. And you're right. You're not wrong. But it's the driver. If the Ferrari can be there with all that horsepower, 10,000 horsepower, whatever the hell it is, but if the driver is coming off accidents and the driver is not confident about hitting that gas pedal, that car has to obey the driver. And that's what I thought. I thought that, this car is still got plenty of horsepower, but the driver has been in some accidents. The driver has lost 4 fights in a row. The driver is not in a confident place. And that's why I bet against him. That was the main reason. Also, there was some physical reason because he pushes his jab, and I thought that he would leave a window open for the right hand to come over. And I thought that Paul's not Ernie Shavers with the right hand. I don't pretend that he is. But he's got a decent right hand, and more importantly, he believes in it. So I figured that there'd be an opportunity when the jab's being pushed for the right hand to be able to land. That's where I came up with the knockout. There has to be a reason. That was my physical reason for that. But the reason I picked him overall, and my backup was he's still going to win the fight, is because the driver's not a confident driver. Again, the engine's fine. There's nothing wrong with the engine. He's 39 years old, but he's not a used up 39, but where he's used up is mentally, where he's diminished his mental. And what I mean is not courage, anything. He's a warrior. He's a gladiator. I mean, let me give him all his platitudes. Let me give him all his accolades. He deserves it. He's a warrior. He's a gladiator. All those guys are. He's special. But you are attached. When I did Friday Night Fights, when I did all the boxing at ESPN, I would always say, it doesn't matter what your power is. It doesn't matter what your speed is. It doesn't matter what your body looks like. It doesn't matter what your talent pool is. It matters, again, it's not the car, it's the driver. It matters what your temperament is, what your personality is, what your belief system is, where you are emotionally and mentally. That's what matters, because that's the way you're going to drive the car, whether it's a car of a human being or a mechanical car, whatever it is that we're using the analogy and the comparison. And he was in a place, and is in a place, Woodley, where he's not going to drive the car fast, where he's gotten to this place. And that's part of why he lost 4 in a row, because he's not taking the risk that he would have taken at another point in his life. And again, you want to blame it on 39? Go ahead. That takes some of the responsibility there, but it's not all that. It's where he is. Whether part of it's attached to being 39, whether it's attached now that he's lost 4 in a row. There's a confidence level. There's a level of belief. Yeah, I'm sure he believed he could beat this guy. But what gets translated, what comes out in the translation, what gets shown physically is the temperament he has now. And the temperament he has now is to be careful, to be cautious. And I think that in his mind somewhere also, adding to that, was that he wasn't going to be embarrassed. He wasn't going to lose his legacy. Very important. And he didn't. He wasn't going to lose his legacy like Askren may have to some degree. But that wasn't going to happen. So I think that fed into it. That his temperament already has been for the last several years to be cautious. But now he wanted to win. But that's winning. Keeping your legacy intact. There's different degrees and dimensions of winning. People don't understand that sometimes. It's not just having your hand raised. I think they both won.
Yeah.
I think they both won.
I agree.
I think that he won and he kept his legacy. He didn't in place. That he's still the greatest welterweight champion in the history of the UFC. He went into a different realm, a boxing realm. Yeah, not with a professional fight. I get it. With a guy who's just learned this 3 years ago. But
let's
still,
not forget too that Woodley,
it's not his realm. He's not allowed to bring all his talents. He's not allowed to bring all his abilities into this realm, which is kicking, grappling, jiu-jitsu, whatever. He's not allowed to bring all that. But in the realm that he went in, he did not damage his legacy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he didn't try to win. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that to actually win this fight, he would have had the ability to make a decision and kind of leapfrog past that sort of stream running underneath that was the stream of caution, that danger stream, because he would have had to care maybe a little less about the legacy. He would have had to care maybe a little less about what we all care about, which is surviving.
Yep.
You know, whether he's thinking that consciously or not, it's there. And Paul saw that when you watch tapes of him. You could see that he's a guy. If you want to make it real simple and not go as deep as I'm going, you just say, well, he's not aggressive. He's not. But he used to be more aggressive. Now, and even when he had him hurt in the fourth round, when he buzzed him, he didn't. You could argue, and you're not wrong, to say he should have sold out more. He should have taken more. But you can't if that's not you anymore. If that's no longer you, you can't do that. Because you've become what I'm saying you've become. Where that is what controls you physically. Because that's what is controlling you emotionally and mentally. So that... The problem all night long, he put pressure. People said, oh, and I was going to text this and I decided not to. Pressure breaks pipes. Pressure breaks people. And the pressure started to tire Paul. But what the pressure was not accompanied with, it was not joined with, partnered with, was punches in a consistent manner. It was not to your point. It was not partnered with punches. So what it's tantamount to doing is going out there. The fall's coming. Autumn's coming pretty soon, Ken. You're going to... Well, I know you have people that do this work for you. But for the
I got
average,
4 little kids that are going to rake those leaves.
There it is. They're the right guys. That's the right way to raise somebody.
Of course.
They're going to go out there and rake leaves. Now, when you rake the leaves and you rake them into a pile, what do? You get rid of the leaves. You don't leave them in the pile so the wind can blow them back and scatter them again. Well, basically, that's what happened. He was raking the leaves, going forward, doing all the physical work, raking the leaves into a pile, but then he didn't get rid of the leaves. And he let the leaves scatter back. And that's exactly what happened. And in the leaves being obviously Paul, where he got back to being on the outside and back to controlling with the jab and back to being able to survive and then win rounds. He did not get rid of the leaves.
Yeah.
From a physical standpoint, the difference was the jab. Because, Yeah, we understand that Woodley was shorter, and he'd have to. I always talk about geography is so important. He had to get closer, and the geography for the most part was owned by Paul. To his credit, he had to be on the outside, use his height, use his reach, stay on the outside. Woodley had to get closer, but where Woodley, and part of the reason why I picked against him, where he hurt himself was he no longer extends his jab. Whether it's shorter or longer than Paul's isn't really the point. If you're only throwing it half of what it's capable of being thrown, it's always going to be shorter. Mike Tyson had a shorter reach and was only 5'10", 5'11". He out-jabbed everybody when it was Mike Tyson, because he threw with confidence, he threw with timing. He sometimes slipped his head and threw it where he took away, he negated the other guy's reach advantage. And his jab was, he didn't throw it to the degree that, and the amount that Ali threw it, or with the kind of snap where it would get your attention the way Larry Holmes did or Ali's did, but it was every bit as effective, Tyson's. When he was at the top of his game. It discombobulated guys. It got him inside with guys. It kept guys defensive. It hurt guys. It intimidated guys. And he had to get every inch of what he had with that jab. He would extend it. And Woodley, shorter or not shorter, his real problem was that he has gotten to a place, and that's part of what I picked up on the film when I broke this down and picked against him. He doesn't extend his jab. Not consistently. Most of the time he's pushing it. And when you're pushing it shorter, longer, taller, you have no shot to out-jab the guy. When he did extend it, he caught Paul with the jab a couple times. There was just no consistency to it. There was too much of him pushing the jab. So from a physical standpoint, for me, the jab was the big difference, because Paul was able to extend it, control the geography he needed on the outside, and use his legs. He did a good job of using his jab and his legs. He partnered the two up to keep range, to keep Woodley from getting into range to land a big shot.